Welcome back to our second 2025 regional assignment edition of Bruce Monnin's Computer Points. I'm Bruce Monnin, your host. Also, we have our co-host, executive producer, and chief researcher, Rebekah Monnin here.
Always happy to be here, Dad.
We are a
Happy to.
couple days later now, but we still don't know if that UC baseball team has been invited to the NCAA tournament yet. Coming
Should
up soon,
probably
though.
look up when that actually happens.
Yeah,
Give an update when it does.
I think it'll be a couple days after this is released, I think.
Cool.
In this episode, we will preview the regional assignments of the Division 6 and 7 teams from our West Central Ohio coverage area. We will also dabble a little bit in the realm of eight-man football. A few changes in the eight-man this year, Rebekah. Not many, but significant nonetheless. But first, our off-topic topic of the week. As I mentioned last episode, the Giro d'Italia is in full swing. That would be Tour of Italy in English. Most Americans don't realize it, but there are actually three big 3-week long bicycle races. Everyone's heard of the Tour de France, but there are two others that are also considered grand tours. The Giro d'Italia generally occurs in the middle of the month of May. The Tour de France happens in July. And the Vuelta a Espana, or the Tour of Spain, occurs in late August through early to mid-September, which, by the way, if you happen to see it on the Peacock channel this fall, it is one of the more entertaining and unpredictable bicycle races of the year.
Is that because of the wonderful land of Spain and its many mountains, or is that because it's the end of the season, everyone's tired?
A little bit that the end of the season thing, a little bit you get lots of people who didn't do as well as they wanted to earlier in the year, and it's like their last chance at glory type thing. And usually whoever dominated the Tour de France takes off and goes and collects a lot of commercial money and stuff, and they don't show up. So
Yeah, that sounds about right. For those who are not inducted into the cycling world, it's kind of like the Triple Crown of horse racing.
Yeah, we all
Everyone
we all
wants
watched the
to win.
Kentucky Derby.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't turn on the Preakness the other week.
No. And sometimes you forget what the third one's called.
Belmont in New York, and if I remember right, they have to be very careful about their camera shots because the place can be kind of a dump. Remember?
Yeah. And everyone wants the prestige of winning all three, but nobody really wants to run their athletes through that. It gets
No,
to
the
be
horse.
torture at that
Yeah,
point.
the horse that won the Kentucky Derby this year actually skipped the Preakness. They said they just didn't think that was a good thing to run them again that soon. So same thing happens in cycling. A 3-week long stage race can really take it out of you. Not too many people do more than two in a year. A couple of years ago, there was an American actually that most Americans have never heard of. His name is Sepp Kuss. He rode all three of the Grand Tours. He started in the Giro d'Italia. He was the main lieutenant on his team, did all the hard work for the guy that actually won it, Primoz Roglic, one of my personal favorites. Then he went to the Tour de France, where he was the main lieutenant for the guy that won that, and he did all the hard work there in that race for Jonas Vingegaard. And then he went down to the Vuelta a España, and both Roglic and Vingegaard went there too. And he was supposed to help whichever one of them was doing the best. And somewhere along the way, when all of the opponents were watching the other two, he snuck away in a breakaway and took a big lead, and no one ever caught him. And he won the race and kind of upset his teammates. But anyway, but we got an American winner. So it's like, whoa,
Woo!
again, the Vuelta, always unexpected. Gotta love it. But if you're watching the Giro d'Italia now, as I have been, they just finished a stage where they rode over the white gravel roads of Tuscany. Always fun to see clouds of smoke go up in the air as the bikes and the cars and the motorcycles go across it.
That cannot be good to ride through. Sounds like
No,
hell on your
unfortunately,
lungs.
yeah, it has to be. Unfortunately, my favorite, Mr. Roglic, had someone crash right in front of him and he went down. And then as he got up to try to catch up, he had a flat tire and fell back more and lost about 2 minutes on the current race leader, and he's about a minute behind some of the other favorites. So he went from being the prohibitive favorite in the race to being in a lot of trouble now. So should be fun to watch. There is, however, a Mexican in the lead, which would be an all-time first if a Mexican won a big stage race. So
Be cool.
shout out to Isaac Del Toro, who's only 21. So we'll see. Young guys don't do really well in 3-week races usually, unless their name is Tadej Pogacar. So,
Mark Cavendish.
but enough of that. Yeah. Well, Cavendish would win stages, not the whole.
Yeah, he didn't do very well in the whole tour.
No, he would win one day and then take 3 days, or he would ride in the back and lose 20 minutes each day and then win the next day. Yeah.
Yeah, sprinters.
Well, that's enough of that. Back to football. That's what everyone's here for, Rebekah.
Sometimes I wonder.
So, as we said, on to our smaller schools. We'll start with Division 6. And as you remember, these are the regions where we are loaded with teams we follow. So we'll start with Region 22, the northwest corner of the state for Division 6. This is a largish region with 26 teams, and we follow over half of them, 14 to be exact.
Oh boy.
If you take in the greater Toledo area, include the area just to the south and all of the west, that is most of the region. So just south of Toledo and everything west of Toledo.
West of Toledo.
Yes.
I forget that Toledo isn't on the western border of Ohio.
There's a whole county out there called Williams County that no one ever remembers is in Ohio.
Oh, yeah.
There's also a few schools along Lake Erie just to the east of Toledo, but not too many. 3, 4, something like that. There is one new team for us in this region, and that is Defiance Ayersville, who has been promoted up from Division 7. Once again, I'm a little fuzzy on the why, if it's they had some transfers in that moved up their competitive balance number, or something happened to schools that fell down below them into Division 7 and pushed them up. I have no idea. We'll hopefully find that out later. We follow 5 teams who made the playoffs in this region last season. Bluffton, Patrick Henry, Defiance Tenora, Sherwood Fairview, and Spencerville. Teams we expect to be in contention. So on the line, maybe they can get into playoffs, include Paulding, Convoy Crestview, Allen East, Van Buren, Wayne Trace, and of course, Defiance Ayersville. We also have Parkway, Mount Blanchard, Riverdale, and Hicksville. They're expected to have a tougher path to make the postseason in this region. In Region 24, still Division 6, but down in the southwest corner, the state answered my prayers and dreams this year, Rebekah, and has removed all of the teams in our coverage area from Region 23 and put them in Region 24 of the other teams we follow. And yes, I do have strange prayers and dreams, Rebekah.
Every single one of your prayers and dreams has been answered. There's none left.
Oh, well, wait a second. Not all of them. Hold on here. I still have dreams of winning 7 different tournaments at the World Wargaming Championships.
Of course. And an American on the throne of the Tour de France.
That's a strange dream. Yeah. Some American. I have no idea who it might be. Back to Region 24 here. This region stretches from Coldwater and Lima Perry in the northwest corner down through Chillicothe and eventually to the Ohio River around Ironton. Mechanicsburg and Triad have been brought over from Region 23.
Ooh.
While Tri-Village and Troy Christian have been promoted from Division 7. So we're following a lot more teams this year than we have in the past.
Absolutely.
In Region 24. We are following 8 teams, which it was 4 teams last year. So this year we follow 8 teams. Coldwater, Anna, Tri-Village all feel like playoff teams right out of the chute. Chatter Online already has Coldwater and Anna figured as the top 2 teams in the region, but that's just online geeks, so who knows.
Who would believe them? It's not like we're online geeks either.
I'm guessing Mechanicsburg also was probably looking pretty good for the playoffs. Lima Perry and Covington look like two classic teams where they'll be fighting to stay on the right side of the cut line through week 10, especially if it's still at 16 teams. If they switch to 12, it's going to be a little tougher, of course.
Hmm.
Pride and Troy Christian are going to need to really improve on their performance in the last few years if they want to contend for the postseason in this new region here. Now we move on to the smallest school division, the smallest official school division in Ohio, Division 7. Once again, we have a Northwest and a Southwest region. We'll start with Region 26 up in the Northwest. 29 teams in this region. That is the largest region in the state as far as number of
Wow.
teams. We are
Wow.
only following 18 of those, by the way.
Only 18 teams, more than the Division One region of teams.
Yes, more than the 18 teams per each region in Division 1. We follow 19 just in this region alone.
Woo! All right, let's
Oh,
do this.
if you look at the map, it's a nice compact region area-wise in Northwest Ohio, including 6 schools located in the far northwest corner of the state, way out there in the corner. That's your Edens and your Edgertons and schools like that, I believe. Hilltop, maybe. There are no schools in Toledo itself, by the way, which is unusual in Division 7 here. Though I think this is where the state will put Toledo Christian. They do not have Toledo Christian listed anywhere yet, even though they are moving up from 8-man football this year
Ah,
into 11-man football. So I think Toledo Christian will go here. It'll be the only Division 7 school in the city of Toledo. 2 schools, Waynesfield Goshen and Ridgemont, have moved up from the Southern Region 28 last year. So they are shifting. They go, what? You're taking us away from Marion Local? How will we live with that?
how will we survive?
We have so many teams here. There are only 3 we follow who are mathematically projected to be almost a sure thing for the playoffs. Is there enough qualifiers there, Rebekah?
I think so. I
Mathematically
think we've
projected
hedged
to
our
be
bets
almost
quite
a
well.
sure thing? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, those are Columbus Grove, Persado Valley, and Toledo Christian. And now we have to put the big asterisk up, Rebekah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm putting Toledo Christian on based on the computer points that I gave them for all those wins in 8-man football last year. This will be a test. We can kind of see what the actual gulf is, maybe between 8-man and 11-man. Maybe it's a lot bigger than we think.
Huh. So you think, huh,
I made 8-man football like a Division 8. So
sure.
if you win a Division 7 game, you get 3.5 points. If you win a Division 8 game, an 8-man football game, you get 3 points, so a little less.
And you don't think the
Maybe,
slight change in gameplay style will be a detriment to their chances?
yes, I do. But I never even gave that a thought when I set up the system for the 8-man computer points until someone moved. And now it's like, I may have to reevaluate that system after this season. Although
So
it is
we're
a single data point, one team. It's
yeah,
kind of,
we're using
but
the
anyway,
good old scientific method. We've got a hypothesis, we're going to test it, and it might be disproven, it might not. We'll figure it out.
now, now, if anyone wants a preview ahead of time, if you go to our webpage, I believe you search for Bruce Monnin's computer points
Maybe. Maybe.
on the there is a link to my mathematical projections for 2025. We will be going over them in July, but they are there now. They may have to change a little beforehand. I also had to do a little change last year. We put on where we projected how many games we thought teams would win, as well as how many computer points. Turned out it was a little it gave everyone a few too many wins. It was a little high on the win. I had to change the system a little more try and see what happens this year. So, but even with that, I am projecting Troy Christian to win 8 or 9 games this year, which sounds high
Wow.
to me.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that that sounds high to me. So I'm thinking my system is off when it comes to 8-man teams moving up to 11. It'll
Well,
be a
we'll
great
see.
experiment this year, huh?
Yeah.
Now, we can't spend all of our time on Toledo Christian because we're following, what, 18 other teams in this region, right?
That's true. There's a lot of them.
17 others, excuse me. I overestimated. The other teams we follow, there are a whole slew of them that we mathematically project to be possible playoff teams, but not definite playoff teams. So, we're hedging a lot more bets here. But these possible playoff teams we would consider to be Pandora Gilboa, Lima Central Catholic, Waynesfield Goshen, Ada. Actually, I think all those sound like really good odds to make the playoffs myself. Ridgemont, Macomb, Lipsick, Hardin Northern, Arlington, Antwerp, and Delphi St. John's. You remember Delphi St. John's just kind of slid in last year. I forget exactly where they finished, but they were 5-5 last year. And then I think it was something like a 14 seed, something like that. And then they made it all the way to the regional finals where they lost out to Columbus Grove. So that leaves four other teams in the region who historically have struggled to score many computer points. And those teams would be Delphus Jefferson, Corey Rawson, Arcadia, and Van Loo. And Van Loo, once again, the watch is on to see if they play a full season, if they have enough players. Every year, you always wonder with Van Loo, but we shall see.
That's a lot of
Moving
teams
down
that
to,
can possibly make it to the playoffs.
yes, it is. We'll spend a little time on Region 26 throughout the season.
Yeah, just a bit.
Moving down to Region 28. As I said, this region lost a couple of teams on the northern edge, like Waynesfield, Goshen, and Ridgemont. In return, it picked up four teams from the Portsmouth area: Franklin Furnace Green, Beaver Eastern, Portsmouth Notre Dame, and Portsmouth Sciotoville. I always like Beaver Eastern for some reason. I don't know. There is no Beaver Western, apparently.
That's a darn shame.
We are going to cover 10 teams in this region. 8 of them look very strong to make the playoffs. Those would be Marion Local, Ansonia, Minster, Sidney Lehman, DeGraff Riverside, New Bremen, Fort Laramie, and St. Henry. All recent years, fairly strong teams. There are 2 borderline playoff schools in Bradford and Fort Recovery. If you remember, Fort Recovery was kind of a playoff team last season. They finished 19th in the region, but the 16th, 17th, and 18th place teams declined the invitation to travel to Maria Stein to play against Marion Local. So Fort Recovery took the invitation. So they finished 19th, but that makes them a playoff team in my book. And finally, we have Mississinawa Valley, who has really only been averaging about 1 win per season for quite a few years. Barring a turnaround, we probably won't have to worry about Mississinawa Valley after too many weeks, and we'll see. They're about due for a turnaround again, back in just like the days when they had Curtis Enos there as a running back, the glory days of Mississinawa Valley football. Curtis went on to play in the NFL, I believe. Definitely played for Penn State quite a bit. How's the Beaver Eastern research going?
I can't tell if anyone knows. There doesn't.
Is there a Beaver
It
Township
was
or something?
well, it's in Beaver, Ohio, on Beaver Pike. So the Beaver's not the mystery, it's the Eastern. I don't know what it's east of. I mean, it's generally on the eastern side of the state
Not a
ish.
lot. No,
It's
not
on
really.
it's on the kind of on the center line actually. There's also, just to add confusion, an Eastern high school in oh, where is this? In between Mount
Reedsville,
Orab
Ohio.
and Winchester?
Oh, over
Yeah,
there too.
yeah. But there doesn't seem to be an accompanying Western to either of them. Uh, so they picked a point, said it's east of that, and called it a day,
I guess.
from what I can
By
tell.
the by the way, the Portsmouth who did we say here? Portsmouth Sciotoville Community
Uh-huh.
School used to be known as Portsmouth East, by the way. So we had another East over there.
East of Cincinnati, I guess. You leave out at Eastgate of Cincinnati and you just keep going on 32
All right.
for
So
a
that's a
long
mystery to be
time.
solved. maybe some of our listeners from somewhere in the Portsmouth area can fill us in on why the high school in Beaver is called Eastern High School.
Somebody's got to know. Maybe.
You would think so, yep. And that brings us to our 8-man football then, Rebecca. I
Woo.
mentioned earlier, we lost Toledo Christian, as we used to
Yeah.
call them, the Marion Local of 8-man football, the two-time defending champions. All 8 members, there are still 8 members this year. All of them are members of the Northern 8 Conference, which, by the way, has a new commissioner. So I've lost my good contact at the head of the conference. So I have to figure out who this new guy is and work on him, I
Yeah.
guess.
Have to say hi. Introduce
By the way,
ourselves.
Toledo, yeah, we should. Toledo Christian has moved up because they've had a rise in enrollment. They actually have more students there, therefore more football players. All ships are rising at Toledo Christian, apparently. Replacing the champs will be Oregon Cardinal Stritch. Oregon's a suburb of Toledo. Cardinal Stritch failed to field any type of team last season, and they didn't field a team in 2022, which was kind of strange because the year 2021 they went 5-3 for losing in the Division 6 playoffs. So they were big enough to be a Division 6 school just in
Huh.
2021. So they did cancel 2 games that year. There were 2 teams that they thought were really going to beat up on them bad. They canceled the games out. At least that's my opinion, probably of why they canceled.
Hmm.
So they
Interesting.
probably were short on players back in that year anyway. They were just good players, the few they had.
Strange.
I also note here in 8-man football, there was talk for a little bit before Cardinal Stritch joined in of an 8th team being a school from Pennsylvania called Hermitage Kennedy Catholic. I
That'd be even
believe they are
more of a
still,
drive.
yeah, I believe they're still going to show up on some schedules here, especially for those 8-man teams out in the eastern part of the state. So with Toledo Christian out of the way, that means it looks like, based on historical results, Sandusky, St. Mary, and Holgate probably 2 of the early favorites to be the kings of 8-man football this year. Southington Chalker also had a winning record last year in the conference and qualified for their 4-man playoffs. So look out for them. No idea how Cardinal Stritch is going to do as the new team. Usually that's not a good thing in 8-man football for the first year, but we shall see. The other teams in there would be Lakeside Danbury, Fremont St. Joseph, Stryker, and Sebring McKinley. And I just met someone from Stryker the other day. Talked to him
Oh,
for a little
yeah?
bit. Said the football field was kind of through his backyard. That was all I knew about it, though.
So
So
no insider knowledge on their practicing schedule or their
I
odds for the
tried.
upcoming year?
I tried. I got nothing.
No invite to his backyard for a football game?
No. Although I probably could have, but I don't know if that's really good funeral talk, to be honest. But
No, probably not.
but it was good funeral after dinner, afterwards dinner talk.
There you go. People need distractions.
Luncheon. Yep. And that, Rebecca, wraps up our summary of the regional changes for this coming season.
Wow, those just
So
flew
we have
by.
we have a couple podcasts here in the books. Make sure everyone knows we're still around before our big preview episodes in July. I expect we'll break that up into 3 episodes again this year. That seemed to work well last year. We could even go
Absolutely.
4, but I think we'll probably go 3. We'll see.
Okie dokie.
And as Rebecca likes to say, please send us some comments and questions, right?
Absolutely. Those can, of course, be sent to us at the email address bdmonnin@nktelco.net or submitted on Twitter to @BruceMonnin or entered into the YouTube channel's comment section underneath this video. Also, please do us and yourselves a favor and subscribe to this podcast so that you can get the episodes as soon as they're up and share them with all your friends. We can be found on Spotify, in the Apple Podcast Store, in Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, or on YouTube. Simply search for Bruce Monnin's Computer Points until we come up with a snappier name, which probably won't ever happen.
Probably not. But this year we can almost say we're everywhere. I'm sure there's other little platforms somewhere, but we're
I'm
pretty
sure
much
there's
everywhere now,
more,
right?
but we're in a lot of the spots. Yeah, figured it out.
We're omnipotent. No, omnipresent.
Omnipresent? Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, I don't think we're omnipotent. That would not be
No,
no.
no, we're barely potent on this one.
But anyway, tune in a few weeks from now. I think it'll be early July. Who knows? We might get impatient. Maybe it'll be late June. I don't know. Probably
Would it
early
be
July.
it's not it's not omnipotent, it's
Omnipresent?
omniscient?
Omniscient.
All-knowing.
I'd have to break out my dictionary for that one.
I think it's omniscient is the cool one to be. Because omnipotent is all powerful.
All powerful, right?
Anyway, the real
Well,
challenge is how to pronounce these words.
yeah. Well, maybe we'll research it before the next episode. I doubt it.
Probably not.
Now, if you want a preview of our preview episodes, I should probably word that better, but that's the way it comes out.
Preview
Uh,
of the previews.
as I mentioned earlier, my annual computer point projections for each region are available on my website. Search for Bruce Monnin's computer points. Click on the link near the top. It says something really snappy like mathematical projections for 2025 season or something like that.
Hey, it tells you what you need to know.
All kinds of other stuff there. You can see it all set up. You can see all the regions and the teams in them with everyone currently with no computer points. It's very exciting.
Is it arranged alphabetically?
I believe it is, yes,
Excellent.
or by school number. I think it's alphabetical though. Anyway, that wraps it up. We shall see you in a few weeks. And by the way, don't be afraid to send us a note if you have an idea for which off-topic topic of the week you want us to talk about. Let us know,
Or you
and we will
have,
probably ignore it, but we might work it in. Who knows?
or if you have any idea why Eastern High School is named Eastern, and if there's anything that's respectively named Western, I would love to know.
Yeah, we really need to know that, and we're way too lazy to go beyond our original search here. So,
Hey, it's not
um,
on Wikipedia, so what do you want from me?
yeah, what do you want from us? And with that, so long, everybody.